I'm Jeffrey Pease from Message Mechanics, and I'm here today with Jean Villeneuve, who is the Chief Revenue Officer now of Tehama. And, we've worked together before too. So
we have, yes. So it's great to see you again.
Yeah, you too. It's like literally we worked together 15 years ago.
I know. And you don't look any different than you did 15 years ago.
Well, you've grown headphones.
Yeah, I've grown headphones. That's the difference.
Yeah.
They're permanently attached.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like mushrooms growing out of the head. So Jean, let me ask you, what does Tehama do?
Well, thanks for the question, Jeffrey. Tehama is what we like to call it. It's the fastest, easiest, and most secure way to deploy a global workforce. Essentially, what that means is that we virtualize the entire process of creating virtual and secured offices. And within each of those virtual and secured offices, you have virtual workspaces. So meaning like a virtual Linux desktop or a virtual Windows desktop. So what makes Tehama unique is that if you suddenly need to send everybody to work from home and you don't have laptops to give them, you could create, literally within an hour, hundreds of virtual laptops that people could log into from their personal laptops at home. So if they go home and they've got like a Mac or a MacBook or a Windows machine or Chromebook or Linux desktops, whatever they have, they go to a URL and log in and then launch like a virtual desktop. And that virtual desktop is controlled by the enterprise organization that's using Tehama. So the benefit there is that instead of buying thousands of laptops to send everybody home and work with VPN, they're creating basically, it's like a secured virtual extension of their enterprise, 4 walls, that's hyper secure. That everything that happens within that virtual office is highly audited for compliance purposes, but also for security purposes. So for instance, you need multi-factor authentication to get in. There's zero, well, in the security world, it's called zero trust, means that at every point there's a gate in order to validate you are who you are. We revalidate that that person is who they are in order for them to get access to the systems. And then we have complete control over kind of what they do when they're in there. So for instance, if you want to make sure that there's no data loss within that virtual room. So if somebody launches a Windows desktop and they launch, say, Chrome to go surf the internet, well, you could turn off certain websites and certain parts of the internet. So when they're in there and doing work, they cannot go look at Facebook or start Gmail or start Hotmail or iCloud. They could only do what their office permits them to do. If they want to do Gmail or Facebook or Instagram, they could do that, like, they alt tab out to their own personal laptop. And it's like having like really distinct walls between the two, yet it's still on the same machine. And there's no data that resides on their personal laptop.
Got it. So what happens in Tehama stays in Tehama.
Exactly. Yeah, I love it. It's so we like to call it sometimes like an airlock for data. And again, we're just completely virtualizing the whole process of making it easy and secure for people to work from home.
So what about your own business? How has this current crisis impacted you or changed how you do business, if it has?
It has in many respects. I mean, like I was saying a few minutes ago, before we got started, most of our systems are already on the cloud. So everything that we do, and we also use our own technology. Right. So it means that no matter where you are in the world, you could continue working. So for us, it was really easy for us to have the switch of a button, say, switch. Everybody just go home, and as of Friday, March 13th. Like that night, the Thursday, March 12th, we said, everybody stay home. You're no longer coming to the office. We're 100% a remote organization from this day forward. So we ended up, because we use Slack. Slack is one of the tools that we use, and we use Gmeet. So we ended up doing with Slack is we created a separate channel just called Tehama Remote. And it's just really a Slack channel to support anybody. So if you've got a joke that you want to share or a meme you want to share about this whole COVID-19 situation, or if you've just got a question, just go ahead and pose the question there. The other thing we also did is that we immediately increased the sort of office allowance so that people could get stronger, faster internet at home.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave them all an increase in their office monthly allowance so that they
Mm-hmm.
could do that and just get a better, more faster, more secure, well, not all, but better, faster, more
Right.
reliable internet service at home. The other thing we also did is we have at noon every day, we have a 30-minute virtual lunch. So we use Gmeet. People come, they bring their lunch, and they just chat about. There's no work pressure, not about customer, not about product. It's just full on. Just have lunch with somebody else with your screen on, and you can
Yeah.
chat about whatever you want to chat about. And that's been good for the team as well. We also do what's called a Friday social. So at 3 p.m. every Friday, the exact same thing. People get together, and if somebody wants to drink a beer in front of everybody else, they can drink a beer on Friday at 3 o'clock as well. So that's been really good for the team to keep that connection. The one thing that I've done more of, because most of my team, other than I've got 4 people that are remote already, they've always been remote. Ever since I joined the organization, they've just been working from home. So for them, this is old hat. They've always done that. But I've got lots of people in the office here in Ottawa, and I found for them, I had to specifically make an effort of calling them every day, every second day, just to check in on them and see how they're
Yeah.
doing, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing too that we had to do as an organization is just really make sure that the teams knew that, like, this is unprecedented times. Like, if you need to disappear for 2 hours because you're dealing with family stuff in the middle
Yeah.
of the day, just let us know, and that's okay, right? Or if you've got kids coming in and trying to ask you for a snack or ask you to help them log into some website when you're in the middle of a meeting, that's okay too. I mean, that's just like work-life integration. We'll like, don't have to apologize for that.
Mm-hmm.
Last week we're in the middle of a presentation. Our marketing director was doing a presentation to the C-suite, and and her husband was on a call, and so her husband couldn't manage the kids. She's got 2 young daughters, and these kids managed to get into her office and turn the light off while she's in the middle of presenting. So something goes dark while she's presenting. So she goes and turns the
Oh.
light back on. She's like, "Excuse me, I got to go turn the lights on," because it went dark and we couldn't see her anymore. And then her kids got wind that she was there, and then they started asking her for cookies. So I loved it, right? And we said, "Look, there's no need to apologize, Leslie. It's completely fine. I've got 2 daughters. We've all got kids. We all know what it's like. Don't worry about it. It's just,
Yeah.
we got to be accepted, right?"
Yeah, this scene is playing out all over the world, and this
It is.
leakage of our sort of behind the scenes humanity into our work life, for better and worse. But I think
Yeah.
people are very, very tolerant of it right now because, they're experiencing it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like, I'm sitting in our basement, right? I don't actually have an office. So, it's not a big house that we live in, but it's big enough. But so there's no office. So I'm just in this space downstairs. And, the kids would prefer that I wouldn't be here because, they would have access to a big screen TV that's here throughout the day. So maybe in a way it's good because they could at least still focus on their homework during the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else? I mean, have we done? I think that's from like the employee side. But one of the things I've noticed is that I feel like people are working longer than they've ever worked because the day starts earlier because you don't have
Yeah.
to worry about commuting,
Yeah.
and the day ends longer because you're not worried about commuting, and because people are set up at home already, their laptops are open.
Mm-hmm.
They're in sleep mode or something like that. They don't have to, like, if something urgent pops up, they don't have to go to their briefcase and take their laptop out, go find a place to put their laptop and start getting engaged.
Yeah.
Like, it's just there, right? They could be, making dinner, cleaning up after dinner, and then say, "I'll just go check what's going on with work," and then suddenly realize, there's this like whole conversation going on about a subject, and they just engage. And I just noticed that, like, I think as a leader, one of the things I need to tell my team is like, look, calm down, go spend time with your kids, with your family, go for a walk where you're allowed to go for walks.
Yes.
Not all places people are allowed to go for walks. But yeah, we need to be very sensitive to that too, as leaders. That I think people are feeling like they need to work longer hours, not because there's any pressure, but I think part of it is also that social cohesion. Like that,
Yes.
yeah, like I've got a
Yeah.
number of like single people that work for us that they were going home every night to an empty apartment, just themselves in it, and now they've been sequestered in these apartments for close to 2 months alone. So I think they kind of long for that connection, and sometimes working longer hours gives them that social connection.
Yeah, yeah, I think people may be sort of self-medicating with work right now. You know, it's something to do, and it's the forum in which we mostly engage with other people right now. But I think there is a downside and a limit to it in terms of, you know, how healthy and productive people are going to be if they just keep going like that.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So as leaders, we need to encourage them to get out, and also you just get a different balance, a different mindset. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I know that even myself, we've been like, we were supposed to go on vacation. It was going to be my first vacation in a long time
Hmm.
on March 14th, but they basically canceled everything on that weekend. So we just decided not to go on the vacation, and I started working, and I just worked every day. I've been
Yeah.
working, yeah, like that since. So I'm actually feeling like I could use a vacation at some point, but where are we going to
Yeah,
go?
exactly.
Yeah,
It's going to be here.
it's going to be here on this couch or outside the backyard, right? So
Yeah.
that's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So we've talked a little bit about how your business has adapted, and it sounds like you had some advantage in terms of, well, for one thing, basically part of your thing as a business is helping businesses help people work remotely.
correct.
Um, so you've adapted. What are you seeing from your customers and in the world? In other words, how are you helping them adapt right now?
Yeah. So we're actually in a unique position where organizations are coming to us because they see us as a way to help them sustain this sort of new normal where, um, like, like it or not, I mean, knowledge workers are now working from home
Yeah.
and will probably be working from home for an indefinite time period. But how do you do it in a way that's sustainable? And a lot of organizations had to basically scramble overnight to figure out, okay, how do I get these people to work from home? And some organizations have done it in a way that's costly, that doesn't scale, that has security leaks. So what we're discovering is a lot of companies have kind of come knocking at our door, um, to evaluate, and a lot of them are in POC now, and some of them have actually signed contracts with us, and are now using the product, in order for them to continue being productive while working on mission critical, data sensitive systems. So we've been giving them guidance on, well, you shouldn't really be using things like Dropbox or Drop to securely, or to exchange, sorry, files that are company confidential. Like, you should be doing this through an enterprise server that's controlled through some sort of secured portal. And that's what Tehama is for all intents and purposes. They're an extension of the enterprise and the security framework within the enterprise. That's one thing. And then people are also using other mechanisms to connect back to the network. But then the other issue that we also discovered is that many of our customers just did not have enough VPN licenses or actual laptops to give to their users to take home.
Hmm.
So they had to, like, a lot of customers have come our way. They've come our way because, well, hey, we were cheaper and faster to get set up, though less expensive than buying VPN, like a whole bank of new VPNs and network hardware to support them. And then we were able to get them connected very quickly, and get them connected in a way that they could scale. Like, some organizations are telling their employees, okay, well, we don't have enough VPN capacity, so therefore, if you're in this department, you could connect between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. If you're in this department, connect between 10 a.m. and noon. If you're in this other department, between noon and 2, this other department, and then some people were, even if they were as part of that team deemed like, you could connect to 8 and 10, even then they weren't getting enough connection capacity. So yeah, a lot of these organizations have suddenly kind of realized that they just don't have the IT infrastructure already in place to support this sort of overnight kind of pandemic situation. So they've been coming to us for a lot of advice on how do we sustain this in a way that doesn't require me to buy thousands and thousands of laptops for my employees, in a way that doesn't require me to go out and buy thousands of VPN licenses and put in place new network hardware to scale the VPN connectivity. So that's been driving a lot of our use from prospects, but then also from our existing customers. We've seen like 100% increase in the use of the platform since January, and that's growing. Actually, every day we come in and customers are saying, "Oh, I'm going to add 30 more users for this project, or I'm going to add 100 more users for this project." Then one of our customers just decided they're going to add 350 users to our platform to enable all of their summer interns that originally they would have had come on site,
right? Sure.
And they would have provisioned hardware for them. But they decided, look, we still want to hire and use these summer interns because they're a strong believer in fostering young people in university and college to learn their technology, learn their platform, learn their company. So they're building a pipeline of employees.
Yeah.
And they see our platform as an excellent way to give them, for all intents and purposes, corporate virtual laptops that they could log into, and then that customer who's using our platform for these 350 users gets to control everything that happens and seen and the tooling on those laptops, those virtual laptops. So
right, because the students already have computers for school, so besides
Absolutely.
the security, you just don't need to provision all that stuff for them.
Correct. So you don't have to worry about shipping laptops to them, so that all that cost is off the table. You don't have to worry about getting those laptops back at the end of the 4-month term. They literally just click a button. Yeah, you don't have to worry about the data on them either. Like, they literally just click a button and they're disconnected, right? And you click a button, they're onboarded. You click a button at the end and they're disconnected. And it's just a new process that they need to put into their onboarding and offboarding for their HR and their IT teams. So instead of like you trying to contact somebody once they've left, one of our customers who's using our platform now, one of the things that they came to us even before COVID-19 is that when they were hiring a lot of their third-party contractors, this was one of the use cases for our platform, is that they would buy laptops for these third-party contractors. And as part of their budget, they would just assume that they would never see about 10% of those laptops again.
Yeah.
They just assumed that they would get lost, or the contractor would never send them back. Or, yeah. So they actually see that our platform could save them quite a bit. And another customer of ours last summer, they onboarded 90 people from Accenture and Ernst & Young for 3 months, and they were up and running within 2 days and proactive on the project. And at the end of those 3 months, they clicked a button and all 90 people were deprovisioned, and they didn't have to worry about getting laptops back. And they say that usage of our platform saved them about $400,000 in just those 3 months of cost. So it's those kinds of things that we're seeing and helping our customers kind of put in place a longer term, more sustained strategy to enable this kind of remote work from home in a way that gives the employee a good experience. Because one of the things that we're investing in and have done already is making that experience for the virtual desktops really fast and easy to use, as if you're working on your own personal laptop. Number one. And then number two, we're guiding a lot of our customers on the IT policies and security policies that you put in place to make it hyper secure, so they get to protect their digital assets and their data. Because in this day and age, data breaches, and now with all the phishing attacks and the malware that's going on to people's personal laptops, it's a way for a lot of corporate hackers, trying to get into corporations through getting some sort of malware or Trojan horse installed on somebody's laptop with then VPNs in to an organization. And because of how our security works, if you have a virus on your laptop, and if you launch the Tehama Room and a Tehama virtual client, that virus will never penetrate that laptop, that virtual desktop. It's just the walls are so thick in terms of how we built them from a security perspective. You can't get that penetration in.
Yeah. So your technology sounds like it's very well suited to this particular moment.
It is, but not that we're in any way, shape, or form happy with the COVID-19 situation.
Right.
But we've been at this now. This technology first came to market in 2010 as part of a larger organization, which then spun us out in 2019. Long before the world even knew what COVID-19 was. And our vision has always been that we want to enable the secure exchange of work over the internet, no matter where somebody is in the world. So our vision long term is, hey, I'm an organization anywhere in the world. I need to get access to this global talent pool because I need to do work, but I want to do it in a way that's hyper secure and where I don't want to have to worry about, look, there's a data scientist in Nigeria who's got all this awesome skills. Like, I shouldn't have to move the person to New York, right? But I want to engage that person in a way that is still secure, still protects my resources, and ensures that somebody's not kind of sniffing the internet and watching what he or she is doing as they're doing the work. Yeah. But at the same time, I want to be able to get access to that talent, either because the talent's phenomenal or because the cost model is more attractive, or just because, like 2-3 years ago in the IT landscape, and especially data scientists, it's almost a 0% unemployment rate. It's really, really hard to find people in North America.
Yeah, and they wouldn't necessarily want to move to where you wanted them.
Exactly, right? So, but if you could do it in a way that, these virtual offices that are kind of like having like a real office where the manager could walk around and see what people are doing in real time, no matter where they are in the world. Like I could look at, like if you're on the Tehama room and if you've got, say, Jane from, I don't know, India logged in, we can see what she's doing in real time, right? And if we don't like what she's doing, we click a button and disconnect her, right? And we've got detailed logging, so we're able to see everything that anybody's ever done within that room. So yeah, we see, despite the, we're not happy with the COVID-19 situation, of course, but for us, it's, it's creating new opportunities that, and accelerating the adoption of our platform. I mean, look at Zoom and look at Google Meet and all these other platforms and online collaboration platforms. They're growing like astronomically, right?
Yeah. There's sort of Netflix, Purell, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and
DoorDash.
DoorDash.
Yeah, all those. Yeah, the ones that are suddenly skyrocketing in terms of demand for use.
Yeah. So you actually just raised a $10 million raise. Is that something that's been in the process for a long time, or does it have to do with the shifting environment in terms of speed of adoption?
No, we've started this. So we started the raise, we started doing the rounds of the VCs back in 2018, right? And then we got more serious about it in 2019. And we started having conversations with owners probably early 2019, maybe even as late as like December 2018, or as early as December 2018. So we had been in conversations with some of the VCs for a long time. And, we fell upon Omers. And Omers, the guy there that's the venture partner, Sean Chance, he'd always had this vision or this thesis that work will eventually virtualize, and that like a gig economy and globalization and the need for security and why are people buying $3,000 laptops, which are really vanity laptops for somebody at work, when you could also like virtualize different compute power for different use cases. Yeah. Like for instance, imagine this, right? That like if you needed like really, really strong compute power to edit all the videos that you're creating, why don't you just go pay by the hour to have that compute power instead of needing to go buy like a really heavy duty laptop that you're going to use maybe 2 hours a month, right? Why don't you just like virtualize that for 2 or 3 hours a month, do all your editing, create your videos, and then you're done with that virtualization for 2 or 3 hours a month. So we came across Sean Chance, who had this vision of where the markets were going to go with desktop as a service and its evolution, and the whole virtualization of laptops. And he loved what we're doing, and he got to know us even more and spent a lot of time with us. But he was watching our revenue, our growth, and being a startup that spun out of the parent company in September 2019, we're completely independent by then. He wanted to watch our customer acquisition, and Q4 was really good for us. We doubled the number of customers we had in Q4, and then that kind of solidified the OMERS position. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So,
so besides technology, are customers coming to you for other kinds of advice as they try to virtualize their work?
yeah, that's a great thing. Actually, we held a webinar a few weeks ago, and one of the topics that came up in the webinar is the people, process, technology, right? So people being one of them. People are asking about, like, how do you make somebody comfortable using like a virtual desktop, because it's something that people haven't used before.
Yeah.
And it's like, even before I joined Tehama, I don't think I'd ever used a virtual desktop. But if you had been a developer and a QA leader, as an example, you'd probably have been using virtualization for a decade, right? Just because that's how people like to virtualize the testing loads on software. They just use virtual machines and use that to do a bunch of performance testing. It's new to so many people. So there's a bit of a cultural shift in learning how to use that, and that's part one. And then part two is just the like teaching people around security frameworks and how to be vigilant in this new world. Because when you're working at work, normally you've got like a laptop that's behind a firewall, or a desktop that's behind a firewall, and you've got all of these systems in place, right? And if you have to send somebody home quickly and have them connect and have them install a VPN on their personal laptop to connect, how are you sure that when they're connected through a public Wi-Fi or through their home Wi-Fi, how are you sure that they've taken the right measures to secure that Wi-Fi? And what are their kids going to that might be potentially putting things on your Wi-Fi network that you're not aware of. So there's just a lot of vigilance and teaching people about best practices and how to be aware of things like phishing attacks and other things. Like we get them all the time. Like I get emails from my CEO all the time, which are not really from my CEO. They're from somebody pretending to be my CEO.
Right.
Which, obviously you open up, you're like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. There's no way Paul would be asking me to call him immediately at this number, which is not even his phone number, right? So we report those to our security team. But those are the kinds of things that we've been teaching. People have been asking us about kind of this new normal. Then the technology, people just want to know, I talked about this already, how do they put in place something that sustains from a technology perspective, that delights users, but is also secure and meets the corporate security policies.
And that dovetails a little bit too into the question of how people feel about how people feel about the way they're kept track of when they're working virtually and working at home. We're used to the idea that our boss can see what we're doing in our cubicle, but there are different concerns now when that comes into the home. Do you hear concerns about that, and from your customers, and how do you address them or help them reassure their workers?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, our software, I was reading actually an article about this over the weekend. There's a growth in some of the other software platforms out there that do things like, a screenshot.
Creepyware, I call it. I think I read the same article you did.
Maybe, yeah. It's like a screenshot every 10 minutes, and then it does like some analysis of all the different websites you've been to and everything else. So what we do is we only capture whatever happens within the context of the Tehama room. So if they're all tabbed out and inside their own browser or their own email, or looking at their Facebook or personal email, we don't care. We don't track that. We only track what happens inside the Tehama room. And that's where work is sanctioned to be done, right? But the philosophy that we've always had is, if the work is getting done, then, meaning like, if you give an employee a project, or you give an employee, like, you must create this many leads per week as an SDR or inside sales rep, or as a seller, you must generate this much quota and deliver on this much quota. If the work is getting done, then you know, why should you be tracking employees every 10 minutes, right? So
Yeah.
there's a bit of a trust element too that you have to address.
Mm.
But when it comes to our platform, you know, our customers can turn off the recording capability as well. They can still track if somebody's logged in and logged out. It's kind of
Right.
like, you know, did somebody badge in and badge out? They can
Yeah.
still track that. They can still track, you know, the sessions, but we can't track what you've done while you're in it if you've turned the recordings off. And some of our customers, just because of, you know, whatever cultural practices or, you know, various reasons within the project, they just decide to turn it off
Yeah.
completely and not track the session recordings, but they're able to track that somebody's logged in and logged out, and that will never go away. But just, you know, and they like that capability because they know, okay, of their 3,000 people, you know, they know that, okay, well, any given day, 10% will probably be on vacation or off or dealing with somebody else. So,
Right.
you know, if this many people log in, then, you know, we've seen that 2,700 people logged in. Okay, well, that's good, right? They get the sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so these aren't just technology choices. There's enabling technology, and then there's the intersection of technology and culture and policy and, you know, social
Exactly.
norms about what's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like I couldn't imagine. Like I do wonder about an organization that wants to track like like every 10 minutes of kind of screenshotting what's on your screen. It depends on what kind of what line of work that you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so many of our customers though, they like the session recordings because it's sort of a condition of employment.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of a lot of our customers and prospects use our product because people are working on really sensitive data and sensitive
Mm-hmm.
applications.
Mm-hmm.
So they like being able to track that to prevent data theft and data breaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Now, I remember a New Yorker cartoon from long ago where these two guys are standing at a water cooler back when you could do that. And
Yeah.
and one of them is wearing a shirt but no pants, just like under, you know, just like boxer shorts.
Yeah.
And the caption is, well, you know, when you're making your numbers, nobody really asks too many questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was saying a few minutes ago. I thought
Yeah.
you were going to go, oh, that could be very funny because that same, because like in a virtual world, that
Yeah.
guy with
You
no
may not be
pants
wearing
on.
pants. We don't know. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, oops, I forgot. We're actually
Yeah.
now live in person. It's like,
I had one of my first interviews was with a coach and performance trainer who was telling me I'd shop at Nordstrom's and they just sent me a big sale flyer, 60% off shoes and pants. Is that tone deaf?
that is so funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too funny. Wow. Okay.
So we're coming up on the end of the time that we have. If there were sort of one message you could put out to businesses right now and business leaders right now, and it can be professional or personal, what would you want to say? What would you want to let them know?
Well, I would say, look, you know, if you're worried about, you know, data breaches and, you know, organizations, you know, sustaining this kind of new normal of work from home, and you're worried about your employees' end user experience, there are solutions out there that will give your employees great end user experience, yet still protect a lot of your corporate assets and allow the IT leaders, especially security leaders, to sleep well at night, knowing that they could sustain this work from home mode for a long time. And we think Tehama's got a good opportunity in that market. And I think, yeah, that's like the message I would leave for leaders in business is that there is a way to sustain this model long term.
And if people are interested in getting in touch with you or Tehama about that, how would they reach you?
Well, if they just go to tehama.io and the contact forms there or they go to a number of us. And you could also get to my profile from the About Us page. And from tehama.io, go to About Us, the management team. You'll see my profile. and I'm pretty prolific on LinkedIn. So if you try to connect with me on LinkedIn, I will see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thanks so much for your advice and input, Gene. Appreciate
Oh,
you
my
being here.
pleasure. It was awesome to catch up with you again, Jeffrey.
Yeah, you too. Been a long time.
It has been. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.